Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the safest quarterbacks to draft for fantasy football in 2021. Inside of today's video, I'm going to be talking about 4 quarterbacks that I am targeting based upon their current average draft position, as I feel like they are ultra safe where they're going right now in fantasy football drafts. If you guys are new to this channel and you do end up enjoying before we get into this video, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below, because not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win your 2021 fantasy football championship. And whether you are new or not, please make sure that you hit that like button down below to help boost this video up the algorithm so that more beautiful people like yourself can see today's video. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first safe quarterback that I want to be talking about today, this list goes in order of the average draft position right now, is Kyler Murray, quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals, current underdog ADP, quarterback number 4, overall pick 56.3. Now, going into last season, I felt very, very excited to be drafting Kyler Murray where he was going. I felt as though Kyler Murray was in for a breakout season after what would have been a great 2019 NFL season. But in 2020, with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray stood tall, unlike his height. He's listed as 5'10" on this website. The guy's 5'8" at the maximum. This dude, I don't even know how he sees over the offensive line, but he's still a monster for fantasy football. In 16 games last year, Short King Kyler Murray finished as quarterback number 3 in 4-point per passing touchdown leagues and quarterback number 6 in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues, averaging 23.7 4-point per passing touchdown points per game, 26.9 6-point per passing touchdown points per game, and from points per game perspective, he was quarterback 6 in 4-point and quarterback number 8 in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues. Now, with Kyler Murray, this guy is the perfect combination of being a great passer as well as being an excellent rushing quarterback in the NFL, which is exactly what you're looking for in fantasy football. Now, I find it kind of stupid that people make the argument that a quarterback can only be good if they are great at running the ball as well as throwing the ball for fantasy football. I somewhat understand the argument because Kyler Murray is going to be getting so many free points from just rushing the ball. Every time he rushes the ball for 10 yards, he gets 1 point, whereas he has to throw the ball 25 yards to get 1 point in most league setups. So yeah, that definitely does benefit a rushing quarterback, but a guy that we're going to be talking about later, Tom Brady, doesn't know how to rush the ball at all, and he still finishes as a top 10 quarterback. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be able to pass or be able to rush the ball at an exorbitant rate or be able to rush the ball with such efficiency like a guy like Kyler Murray to succeed, but to finish as like the number 1 overall guy, you're probably going to have to put up some Mahomes touchdown numbers or passing numbers to do that, or be rushing the ball at a high rate with like a guy like Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray. Now, initially, I wanted to put Lamar Jackson in this video, but Kyler Murray's going behind Lamar Jackson right now based upon current average draft position. So in that case, I feel like he's even safer to be drafting. He has a much higher chance of throwing for way more passing yards than a guy like Lamar Jackson. Last year, Kyler Murray threw the ball 558 times, 34.9 times per game, ranking 7th at the quarterback position for 3,971 passing yards, 13th highest at the quarterback position for 26 total passing touchdowns, 12th highest at quarterback to just 12 INTs. He also rushed the ball for a grand total of 133 times, 3rd highest at the quarterback position, 11 rushing touchdowns, 2nd highest at quarterback, and 819 rushing yards, 2nd highest at the quarterback position. Now, Lamar Jackson rushed the ball 2 years in a row for over 1,000 yards, but I would not be surprised at all if Kyler Murray rivaled Lamar Jackson in that sense, with potentially finishing with 1,000 rushing yards in 2021. This guy is just so shifty when the ball goes in his hand, and guess what? As the quarterback on basically every single play on offense, unless they try to fucking snap the ball to AJ Green or to Chase Edmonds or something, then he is just going to go ahead and touch the ball basically every single time there is a snap. That's just the bonus you get for being the quarterback, and he can call his own number on the goal line. He is going to be vulturing Chase Edmonds and James Conner all season long, and he is going to be rushing the ball with great efficiency, just like he's been doing his whole NFL career. And if he's able to continue to get better at throwing the football, if he's going to continue continue to develop, throwing the ball to a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. They bring in Rondell Moore in the NFL draft. They bring in AJ Green. Now, I'm not a big fan of AJ Green, right? I've been saying for years that AJ Green was washed up, but now, at this point, he's so washed up that it's almost a good sign that they have him, because maybe he just needed a change of scenery. Even though with Joe Burrow, I thought there was potential that he was somewhat good. I told you not to draft him last year, but there was a chance in my mind. I just had a gut feeling in my nuts that I thought, you know what, maybe AJ Green would do something, and he just continued to drop balls. But hey, he's better than Christian Kirk, so now they got D-Hop. They got AJ Green. They got Rondell Moore. They still have Christian Kirk, who will have like 2 good games this season. People will get down on their knees and give him some sloppy toppy like their name was Mia Malkova, and then he ends up doing nothing the rest of the season. And that is the Christian Kirk special, the Christian Kirk hype train that happens just about every single year. But I do think that Kyler Murray has a great list of weapons around him. He also has Chase Edmonds, who's a good pass-catching running back, as well as James Conner, who is also a good pass-catching running back. So again, Kyler Murray's safety comes with the fact that he is ultra good in the rushing game. That makes him very, very safe because he has a nice floor of points he's going to be getting every single week just from rushing the ball, as well as the fact that he could up his passing even further in 2021 as he continues to grow. Maybe we see a huge bump in third-year production with Kyler Murray in the passing game, and even if that doesn't happen, I'm still very happy to draft him as the quarterback number 4, with the fact that I feel like he has quarterback number 1 upside. Any of those quarterbacks go in the top 5 to me, could easily finish as the quarterback 1. Next up, we have the guy that I spoke about a little bit earlier, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, the GOAT, underdog ADP, quarterback number 10, overall pick 100.9. Tom Brady is going in the triple-digit rounds. And I understand. The people will make the argument that I talked about earlier. Oh, Nick, it's because Tom Brady doesn't know how to run the ball. I understand that. The guy almost has 1,000 rushing yards on his career. If not, he just barely passed it. And that was like some big accomplishment this guy's been looking for his whole career. Fucking Kyler Murray basically ran that many yards last year. And Tom Brady's been playing in the NFL since I was a kid. I don't even know how long he's been playing it. Since 2000. So he's been playing for 21 years. You can buy his NFL career a drink at the start of this season. That's how long Tom Brady has been playing for. But with Tom Brady, the safety comes with the fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have unleashed a different version of Tom Brady. In the past for the Patriots, sure, Tom Brady's throwing the ball with great efficiency to Julian Edelman. He's throwing it to Gronk. He's doing all these things, Wes Welker, all these guys, right? And he looks good. But we haven't seen this version of Tom Brady in a while because the team's now more run heavy. You know, they like to hand the ball off, share the load with 7,000 running backs in the backfield, and then bada bing, bada boom, Tom Brady, the defense carries him. He wins a bunch of Super Bowls. But here in Tampa Bay, while the defense carried him to a Super Bowl, you better believe he looked good in that Super Bowl, and he looked good all of last season because Bruce Arians is letting Tom Brady throw the ball. In 16 games last year, Tampa Bay Tom finished as the quarterback 8 in 4-point and quarterback 7 in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues. He definitely gets a bigger uptick in points in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues because that decreases the value of rushing touchdowns, averaging 21.14 point per passing touchdown points per game and 27.1 in 6-point. From a points per game perspective, he was quarterback 12 in 4-point and quarterback number 10 in 6-point per passing touchdown. So again, with Tom Brady, what comes with this man is just a zillion passing yards on an offense that likes to throw the ball, even though their defense is super strong. Last year, Tampa Bay Tom threw the ball 40 total touchdowns on the season to 12 INTs. He threw the ball a grand total of 610 times, second highest at quarterback. This team has one of the best defenses in the NFL. One of the strongest defenses in the NFL, and this motherfucker is still throwing the ball 610 times. He had an 87.9% protection rate, 10th highest at the quarterback position. So he is one of the best offensive lines, a top 10 offensive line in the NFL. Supporting cast efficiency, plus 10.41, ranking 6th highest at the quarterback position. I don't know how his supporting cast efficiency well, technically, I guess the efficiency is different than rating the supporting cast because Tom Brady probably has the best supporting cast in the NFL. I would think there's definitely some debate to that, though, but you know, he has Mike Evans, he has Chris Godwin, I'm doing the fucking Macarena over here naming all these guys, Antonio Brown, Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, his boy Rob Gronkowski. They still have the other myriad of tight ends, I think that's the wrong word, but the other zillion tight ends they have on that team that are still pretty solid. So overall, Tom Brady has an excellent offense. He has an excellent defense. And even so, they're still passing the ball at a very high rate. He threw the ball for 4,616 passing yards last year, which is third highest at the quarterback position, 288.5 per game. He had 5,554 air yards last season, number one highest at the quarterback position. He had 40 touchdowns, like I said, 6.6% rate, second highest at quarterback, to just 12 INTs. Now, eventually, old Tom Brady is going to fall off. Eventually, Tom Brady's TB12 method of just eating fucking avocados every day is going to make him fall off eventually. But I won't believe it until I see it. For years, Max Kellerman, these talking heads on the television, will tell you that Tom Brady is going to fall off. I, myself, as a Dolphins fan who hates the New England Patriots, has hoped for years that Tom Brady would have this down year, the collapse, the ending of what is a dynasty in the NFL would come, and it, maybe it is coming now, unless Mac Jones starts playing like the second coming to Tom Brady. And then it's just straight up pain as a Dolphins fan. But Tom Brady has still continued to play at such a high level regardless of his age. So I don't believe in any way that Tom Brady is going to completely fall off the face of the earth. Sure, he might not throw the ball the most amount of times in the NFL next year, or the second most amount of times. Sure, maybe not. But he's still going to be passing the ball enough, and he's still accurate enough. He still has the best group of wide receivers and tight ends around him that this guy is destined for success for fantasy football in 2021. And I feel this guy is ultra safe. He's like a nice Trojan ribbed condom. Next up, we got Trevor Lawrence, quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars, rookie quarterback, underdog ADP, quarterback number 15, overall pick 124.6. If you guys have ended up enjoying this video thus far, before we get into Trevor Lawrence, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that like button down below as well, and leave a comment at any point in this video if you have any player you want to be talking about, or if you have a different quarterback besides the ones that I have talked about or I'm going to talk about in this video that you believe are a nice safety blanket for your roster. So back into it, Trevor Lawrence obviously doesn't have any fantasy statistics for last year because he was playing in college at Clemson, and he was the number one overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. Basically, for the last 3 years, we have known that Trevor Lawrence was going to be the number one overall pick. Last season, the Jets and the Jaguars were having a tank fest of the fucking century, but ultimately the Jets accidentally win a game, and the lottery of being the Jaguars, just in that case, win the lottery of getting touchdown Jesus, the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck, according to many, Trevor fucking Lawrence. Now, the reason why I feel that Trevor Lawrence is so safe is because of where he's going at quarterback 15 on other websites, Yahoo, ESPN, NFL. He seems to be going even later than that. So the fact that he's going at that pick makes me feel even safer about him at quarterback 15, because I genuinely believe he easily has top 10 upside. The reason behind this is the Jags defense is so young. They have one of the youngest defenses in the NFL. So the defense is going to struggle, for a couple of years, and then maybe you built up the fucking Saxonville Jaguars or something like you had in the past with that team, right? Maybe that's what they're trying to do. But with a shitty defense, you know what you have to do? You have to throw the ball. This is a lot of the reason why I like former number one pick from last year, Joey Burrow, so much, is because the defense sucks ass and they're going to have to pass the ball a lot through the game. Trevor Lawrence also has a very underrated wide receiver group with him, including Tim Tebow. Winky face, I love Tim Tebow, but in reality, he has DJ Chark, who is a guy that right now I'm starting to think about fading for fantasy. But that's not really because I think he's a bad player. It's more because I think he's going a little too high with the fact that we don't know right now who the fuck Trevor Lawrence's favorite target is going to be. It could be Marvin Jones, former Detroit Lion, who has put up big numbers in his career. He's a very talented wide receiver. Laviska Shenault was a draft pick last year that seemed to have panned out, had a great season last year, looking to even further improve in his sophomore year. They have a nice wide receiver core there for Trevor Lawrence. They also brought in Travis Etienne, which brought me a bunch of pain as a James Robinson truther, as a guy that will stand on top of the mountain claiming that James Robinson is much better of a running back than Travis Etienne, but that doesn't matter, right? Because I'm not Urban Meyer. So Urban Meyer thinks one thing, I think another thing. It's okay. Travis Etienne played in college with Trevor Lawrence. That's the thought in drafting him, I assume. And then bada bing, bada boom, you have a nice connection there with dumping the ball. James Robinson, also pretty good. So this should be a very juiced offense with a shit defense that's going to have to be passing the ball a lot. Now, I'm not going to compare Trevor Lawrence to Dak Prescott, right? And how many yards that Dak was throwing, because Dak has been in the NFL for a while. We knew how good Dak was going to be. Trevor Lawrence is in his first year, so maybe he struggles at the beginning. But I have a lot of confidence in touchdown Jesus Trevor Lawrence to be able to play big in these games because of how much he's going to have to be passing the ball. Last year, Trevor Lawrence threw a total of 24 passing touchdowns to 5 INTs. He played in 10 games. He threw the ball 334 times, 3,153 passing yards, 9.4 yards per attempt. He also rushed the ball for 177 yards and 8 total touchdowns. And that is one of the biggest things I want to be further. It starts with an I. Instigating, irritate. It's not irritating, like iterating. Iterating. That's the word I'm looking for here. Fucking my brain's like a Webster's dictionary. It just has too many words in it. I'm like Eminem over here, all right? 563 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns in 2019, 203 rushing yards and 1 touchdown in 2018. I want to talk about his rushing upside because not enough people talk about the fact that Trevor Lawrence might bust off 250 rushing yards plus in 2021, as well as stealing some touchdowns, which is big upside for fantasy football. If he just decides that he wants to rush the ball, which we've seen at Clemson again last year, nothing huge. I mean, 563 yards isn't even huge numbers for a college quarterback because in college, the quarterbacks that are really good, they're basically playing the NCAA football game on the television when they're able to run the ball. They just close their eyes, they juke out 1 million people, they score 1 million touchdowns because it's easy to do in college if you're fucking going to be the number 1 overall draft pick. Trevor Lawrence doesn't necessarily do that, but I do believe that he has enough rushing talent in his body to be able to produce some great numbers for fantasy football from the rushing aspect as well. Overall, I think that Trevor Lawrence with a bad defense is great news. Maybe not for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but it's great news for his fantasy football upside. And final quarterback, I want to be talking about quarterback number 17, which is way too low based upon underdog ADP. Overall pick 138.1, former Super Bowl choker, Matty Ice Baby. Dun 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 dun. Last year, Matt Ryan was a guy that I touted as a potential top 10 quarterback. There's this Matt Ryan theorem that I've created. It's top 12 quarterback, and then like top 15 quarterback, and then top 12, top 15, top 12, and it just goes every year. It's like he has the great year, then he has the down year, the great year, then the down year. For some reason, that has been a true tale his whole career. That's why I was all on Matt Ryan last year, but the team dealt with a lot of injuries last season. Obviously, Julio Jones missing some games. Now, this Atlanta offense definitely looks a little bit different. Obviously, there's no Julio Jones, but they draft tight end phenom, the phenomenon, fucking Megatron version 2, Calvin Johnson version 2, Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida. All right, that's pretty cool. They still have Calvin Ridley. They still have Russell Gage. They bring in Mike Davis, who is, basically Todd Gurley, if Todd Gurley had a knee. I feel bad for Todd Gurley because that guy was one of the better NFL running backs in the league, and then he obviously has dealt with that knee arthritis. It sucks for him. But, I was telling you guys not to draft him last year, so hopefully it didn't, If you followed along, I fucking hated Todd Gurley because of his knee injury. But Matt Ryan is in a pretty solid offense. And again, the argument, just like with Trevor Lawrence, the defense is fucking dick cheese. They haven't had a good defense since that Super Bowl run in which they choked away. Not even Matt Ryan's fault, really. It's more of Shanahan's fault. Shanahan, serial quarterback, or not serial, or not quarterback, I meant serial Super Bowl choker. Shout out to the Chiefs. Shout out to the Patriots. So, in 16 games, Matty Ice Baby finished as quarterback 12 and 4 point and quarterback 13 and 6 point, averaging 17.5 4-point per passing touchdown points per game and 20.8 6-point per passing touchdown points per game. From a points per game perspective, he was quarterback 16 and 4 point, tied with Drew Brees, and quarterback 17 in 6 points. So why do I like Matt Ryan so much? Why do I feel like he's so safe? Much of it comes with the fact that he's quarterback 17 off the board. So you've loaded up on your running backs, your wide receiver, your tight end, and you're drafting super late at quarterback, or he's your backup. Now, I'm not someone who is going to stand here and tell you, or sit here, I guess, come sit in a chair, right, and tell you to draft 2 quarterbacks. I do not draft 2 quarterbacks in most leagues, but in your league, when you're playing with your friends from home, when you're playing with the people from work, from fucking Jesse from accounting, with Jim from HR, with your boss, Henry, you know? In that kind of a league, people are going to draft 2 quarterbacks. That's just the truth of it. And in leagues where people draft 2 quarterbacks, you want to know who also drafts 2 quarterbacks? Me. Because I don't want to be stuck with fucking Daniel Jones as my quarterback when my quarterback 1 is on bye. So maybe Matt Ryan he's a really good backup. If he's your backup quarterback, you should be very confident because of the passing volume that he presents, just like with his division mate, Tampa Bay Tom Brady. This guy throws the ball at an exorbitant rate. 626 attempts last year, 39.1 per game. This motherfucker almost threw the ball 40 times per game, ranking number 1 at quarterback. He had 26 passing touchdowns, ranking 12th at quarterback to just 11 INTs. 4,581 passing yards, 4th at quarterback. 5,264 air yards, 2nd at quarterback. So this guy is basically Tom Brady at a discount. Tom Brady light, because he doesn't necessarily have the defense Tom Brady has, but he's going to still be throwing the ball a lot because the defense sucks. He doesn't have 3 great wide receivers like Tom Brady has, but he has Calvin Ridley, he has Kyle Pitts, and he has Russell Gage, which, you know, nowhere near as good as Mike Evans, fucking Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, or Antonio Brown, but still pretty competent. Still has a good running back in Mike Davis. The offensive line, nowhere near as good as Tom Brady's. 82.2% protection rate, 27th at quarterback. His supporting cast efficiency was 19th last year. Because of the Julio injury, I think that goes up much more with Mike Davis added into this team because Todd Gurley sucked, and then with Kyle Pitts, obviously, and Mike Davis. This is going to be very good for Matt Ryan, who's going to be throwing the ball again at a very high rate. He's not a guy that's going to rush the ball just like with Tom Brady. 29 carries. He had 2 touchdowns, 92 rushing yards. Again, like I said, this guy is like the poor man's, the Walmart version of Tom Brady. And he's going 7 quarterback picks later. Bunch of rounds later. I'm pretty confident in Matty Ice Baby Matt Ryan to be my starting quarterback for fantasy football in 2021. I feel very safe. Chef's kiss drafting him at quarterback 17 overall pick. Number got to scroll up real quick. 138.1. And he's been going down. Minus 12 ADP in the last week. Down around. Not going up like some of these guys. He's going down. Which is even better for y'all who are fans of Matty Ice Baby. I just said y'all. What am I, a fucking cowboy? So thank you guys for watching. I love you guys all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you had a great time. I hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday. And tomorrow we will have a banger. Me, Dave Kluge, Chicago Bears, total team breakdown. I love you guys all. Make sure that you stay safe as always. Goodbye.